This is Linda Favela, Jeremiah 26, verse 1. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, this word came from Yahweh. Comment in verse 1, Yahweh delivered this word to Jeremiah at the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim. To put that in perspective, Nebuchadnezzar came for the first time in Jehoiakim's third year, Daniel 1:1. So this word preceded the first arrival of the Babylonians. Verse 2. Yahweh says, Stand in the court of Yahweh's house and speak to all the cities of Judah which come to worship in Yahweh's house, all the words that I command you to speak to them. Don't omit a word. It may be they'll listen and every man turn from his evil way, that I may relent from the evil which I intend to do to them because of their evil doings. Comment in verses 2 and 3, Yahweh says, Stand in the court of the temple, speak this prophecy to everyone there who make their homes in all the cities of Judah. Don't omit a word. Maybe they'll listen, each man will repent, and I'll reverse course. Otherwise, I'll stay the course and destroy them because of their evil doings. Verse 4. You shall tell them, Yahweh says, if you'll not listen to me, to walk in my law, which I've set before you, to listen to the words of my servants the prophets, whom I send to you, even rising up early and sending them, but you have not listened, then I'll make this house like Shiloh, and will make this city a curse to all the nations of the earth. Comment in verse 6, Shiloh is a city in Ephraim, about 20 miles north of Jerusalem. Shiloh used to be God's dwelling place among the Israelites, in that the Ark of the Covenant and Tabernacle were there. But God removed himself, the ark and the tabernacle, and eventually established himself in Jerusalem at the temple. The way Yahweh put it, he caused his name to dwell at Shiloh at the first, Jeremiah 7:12. But now, as everyone knows, he's rejected Shiloh in favor of Jerusalem. Now Yahweh has sent Shiloh into Assyrian exile, along with the rest of the northern kingdom, 2 Kings 17:6. In verse 6, Jeremiah is to stand in the temple and preach, Thus says Yahweh, I'll make this house, meaning this temple and this city, like Shiloh. Jerusalem and the temple will be like Shiloh in that Yahweh will remove his name, destroy the temple, destroy the city, and send the people into captivity, just as happened in Shiloh. In verses 4 to 6, the message to all the people is, Yahweh says, if you won't keep my law, and if you keep ignoring the prophets I've been sending, I'll make you like Shiloh. I'll make Jerusalem a curse to all the nations of the earth. What was the response? Verse 7. The priests and the prophets and all the people heard Jeremiah speaking these words in Yahweh's house. When Jeremiah had finished speaking all that Yahweh had commanded him to speak to all the people, the priests and the prophets and all the people seized him, saying, You shall surely die. Why have you prophesied in Yahweh's name, saying, This house will be like Shiloh, and this city will be desolate, without inhabitant? All the people were crowded around Jeremiah in Yahweh's house. Comment in verses 7 to 9, the priests, prophets, and all the people were on the verge of lynching Jeremiah. They seized him, surrounded him, and said, You shall surely die. Why have you prophesied in Yahweh's name, saying, We'll be like Shiloh? Verse 10. When the princes of Judah heard these things, they came up from the king's house to Yahweh's house, and they sat in the entry of the new gate of Yahweh's house. Comment in verse 10, the commotion got the attention of the princes in the king's house. Princes here means royal officials. They came and sat in the entry of one of the temple gates, which is to say they'll calm this thing down and conduct a hearing. How will Jeremiah come out? Verse 11. Then the priests and the prophets spoke to the princes and to all the people, saying, This man is worthy of death, for he's prophesied against this city, as you have heard with your ears. Comment, Jeremiah's accusers say he's worthy of death because he said bad things about the city. Their real issue is that Yahweh told them they're evil, and if they don't repent, he'll destroy them. And pride is another issue. To say they're like Shiloh is insulting. Yahweh was angry with Shiloh, but he's not with us, is their attitude. What will Jeremiah say? Verse 12. Then Jeremiah spoke to all the princes and to all the people, saying, Yahweh sent me to prophesy against this house and against this city all the words that you have heard. Now therefore amend your ways and your doings, and obey Yahweh your God's voice. then Yahweh will relent from the evil that he's pronounced against you. But as for me, behold, I'm in your hand. Do with me what is good and right in your eyes. Only know for certain that if you put me to death, you'll bring innocent blood on yourselves, on this city, and on its inhabitants. For in truth Yahweh has sent me to you to speak all these words in your ears. Comment verses 12 to 15 are heroic. Facing death, Jeremiah repeated exactly what Yahweh told him without omitting a word. He didn't take any of the sting out of it. He kept the fire and the hammer that breaks rocks in it. What's the verdict of the king's officials? Verse 16. Then the princes and all the people said to the priests and to the prophets, "This man is not worthy of death, for he's spoken to us in the name of Yahweh our God." Comment in verse 16, the king's officials have ruled in favor of Jeremiah. Now the people are also supporting Jeremiah. They're telling the priests and prophets that Jeremiah is not worthy of death, quote, "for he has spoken to us in the name of Yahweh our God," end quote. Obviously, as fast as the people change their minds, they have no real conviction and don't think for themselves. They're only persuaded for the moment by the king's officials. Tomorrow they could easily call for Jeremiah's death again. Verse 17. Then certain of the elders of the land rose up and spoke to all the assembly of the people, saying, Micah the Morashtite prophesied in the days of Hezekiah king of Judah, and he spoke to all the people of Judah, saying, Yahweh of armies says, Zion will be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem will become heaps, and the mountain of the house as the high places of a forest. Did Hezekiah king of Judah and all Judah put him to death? Didn't he fear Yahweh and entreat the favor of Yahweh, and Yahweh relented of the disaster which he had pronounced against them? We would commit great evil against our own souls that way. Comment in verses 17 to 18, certain elders of the land who were capable of thinking for themselves supported Jeremiah. They recalled a prophet named Micah the Morashtite, who lived during the reign of Hezekiah about 100 years previously. Micah prophesied disaster like Jeremiah, and Hezekiah didn't kill him. He listened to him and entreated Yahweh's favor, whereupon Yahweh relented. The moral of the story, according to the certain elders, is that it would be a great evil to put Jeremiah to death. It's certainly not what Hezekiah would do. Speaking of Jeremiah escaping death, coming up in verses 20 to 24, there's a short story about a prophet of the time who didn't escape death. Verse 20. There was also a man who prophesied in Yahweh's name, Uriah the son of Shemaiah of Kiriath Jearim, and he prophesied against this city and against this land according to all the words of Jeremiah. Comment, Yahweh gave Uriah the same message as Jeremiah in all Jeremiah's words in all the same detail. Verse 21. When Jehoiakim the king with all his mighty men and all the princes heard his words, the king sought to put him to death, but when Uriah heard it, he was afraid and fled and went into Egypt. Comment in verse 20, Uriah prophesied against Jerusalem just like Jeremiah. In verse 21, King Jehoiakim and his men sought to kill Uriah. Uriah heard about it, he became afraid, and fled to Egypt. Verse 22. Then Jehoiakim the king sent men into Egypt, Elnathan the son of Achbor, and certain men with him into Egypt, and they fetched Uriah out of Egypt, and brought him to Jehoiakim the king, who killed him with the sword, and cast his dead body into the graves of the common people. Comment in verses 22 to 23, King Jehoiakim sent men to Egypt to bring Uriah back. They went to Egypt, found him, brought him back, and Jehoiakim killed him with the sword. They buried Uriah unceremoniously in a graveyard for commoners without the honor he deserved. Coming up in the last verse of the chapter, if it hadn't been for one Ahikam, Jeremiah would have died like Uriah. Verse 24. But the hand of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, was with Jeremiah, so that they didn't give him into the hand of the people to put him to death. Comment, Ahikam was probably one of the king's officials who sat in the gate and heard the case, because in verse 24 he was foremost in saving Jeremiah. In the story of Uriah, there was a little undercurrent that his fear and flight to Egypt didn't protect him. He might as well have stayed in Judah, kept preaching the word, and when threatened, he could have said, as Jeremiah said in verses 14 and 15, Kill me if you must, but know for certain you'll bring guilt on yourself. Yahweh's first commandment to Jeremiah was, Go to whomever I send you, say to them whatever I command you, and don't be afraid because of them. Jeremiah 1:7 and 8. Probably Yahweh said the same thing to Uriah, but in verse 21, Uriah fled to Egypt out of fear of man and not fear of Yahweh. Poignantly, Uriah died and Jeremiah lived. This doesn't make the point that a prophet will live if he's obedient, but it does make the point that fear of man is not helpful. The cowardly are the first on the list in Revelation 21:8 to be thrown into the lake of fire. Jeremiah 27 is next.